Welcome to the Shem Golf Academy channel. I have been in a week-long US Kid Coaches training, and it's the final day. I'm here with Jim from US Kids. I will let him introduce himself, but I am so excited by what KGU, JGF, KLGU have done by getting in a partnership with US Kids. I think we're headed the right direction. So for those who know me, I'm passionate about junior golf, and I'm passionate about teaching golf the right way. So for me, it's like Christmas to see US Kids in Kenya, and actually that it has the backing of KGU, KLGU, JGF, and the government. So, Jim, kindly introduce yourself.
Thanks, Shem. I appreciate that. My name is Jim Hardy. I'm the Senior Director of Coach and Academy Development for US Kids Golf. I live in North Carolina, United States, in Pinehurst, where they hold many US Opens. And it's the home of Longleaf Golf and Family Club, which is the golf course that US Kids owns and has operated for the last 7 years. And I have a great job. I get to work at what we call our living laboratory. So we get to try new things like the Longleaf Tee System, like the Player Pathway Program. And we've shared all that information with the great coaches from Kenya, including yourself, with great passion and care for their students. It's really going to be something to watch, I think, and it's been really fun to be a part of this because it's a little different than what we do in the United States and elsewhere in the world, where one person might come to represent their golf club, and they'll come from all over the world, and we've trained 6,000 coaches that way. But here, the entire country has come together and given us 42 of their best coaches and said, train these coaches and let's do something different. The goal was to have a Kenyan in the Olympics in 2028 and have a Kenyan win the Kenyan Open within the next 10 years. So it's a tall order, but I think by starting with the grassroots movement, training kids early, helping them to fall in love with golf, some of our better athletes will stay involved in golf long enough to become, champions here in Kenya and maybe around the world.
Wonderful, wonderful. You've mentioned two things there that I want to kind of hone in. One is the Pathway Program. Can you just briefly explain it and tell us why it works? Because you're not trying it in Kenya. This is a proven system globally.
Yes,
Why
definitely.
does it work?
Yes, definitely. So we've been using the Player Pathway Program for almost 20 years. In the form that it's in now, we've been using it for the last 7 years. And it's a pathway. It truly is a pathway for a beginner to start at level 1 who's never touched a golf club in their life, whether they're 6 or 96 years old. This pathway works, but we really wanted this for the kids, and so anyway, so the pathway starts them off, and we baby step them up all the way to level 10 to where they can shoot even par or better from a tee that is scaled to them, which we'll talk about in a minute with the Longleaf Tee System. The key, though, to the Player Pathway is that we have the pathway, we have the curriculum, but we also talk about the way to deliver it. And there's 6 keys to delivering the Player Pathway, which is to teach very lightly and then play a game that increases that skill. It's a clever way to have a kid learn how to putt better or chip better or drive it better by playing a game and making it fun, rather than just lining up a pile of balls and saying train, train, train. We play a game that increases the skill. Then we measure and award pins, and they're little pins. They don't cost very much, but they mean the world to the kids as they earn them and they build their way up through. And so each time they go from one level to the next level, they get a new student kit and a new cap. So they go from a blue cap to an orange cap to a red hat and so on and so forth. And so it is a way to give the kids a true roadway, a pathway, so that they can start here and end up however high they want to go.
Yes. On the same topic, how important is it for parent involvement in this process?
It's very important because we want the parents to be involved with their child as our co-coach, especially if the parent plays golf. If the parent doesn't play golf, that's a different story, but if the parent plays golf, sometimes the parent knows something about golf, and sometimes that's good, and then sometimes that's bad because the parent will see their kid hit a bad shot and they'll say, well, keep your left arm straight and keep your head down and keep your eye on the ball. And we never say that in our player pathway. We don't use that kind of terminology. We might say, make sure you brush the grass under the ball. Make sure you turn your Y into the letter L, and things like that. And so we want the parent to be involved in the coach process, just from the standpoint of, you don't have to come help us, but read the booklet, see what it is that we say, maybe listen to us as we coach your children, so that when you play with your kids, you say the same things we say.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's very important. And for me personally, the pathway where you have, my biggest takeaway from this week is, it gives you as a coach tools to show progress from one step to the next, until from level 1 to level 10. I think that is a game changer in coaching golf, for kids especially, and anybody in particular, and especially the element of fun for the kids, because that's the #1 reason why kids
That's right.
play the game.
That's right. If you see a kid running around playing, they are exercising all those muscles. And so while they play, they're learning how to be an athlete. And while they're playing these games that we show them in golf, they're learning how to play golf, but it doesn't look like golf. It might look like tic-tac-toe or cow pasture pool, or other games that have funny names that don't seem to have anything to do with golf, but next thing you know, you've increased your ability to control the distance, direction, trajectory, and shape of your golf ball playing these games. And so that in doing so, we create great golfers as a result.
Exactly. So for those parents out there, for those coaches, just make sure that you have the fun element in your lessons. Finally, there is a big debate since the World Handicap system. Handicaps have been brought 54. The US kids system does not believe in handicapping kids. And there comes the long-live T system.
Right.
Kindly talk.
Sure. It's not so much that we don't believe in handicaps for kids. That's fine. In America, they just don't do it. We just don't do it very often. And part of the reason is because we play most of our competitions where 8-year-old boys play against 8-year-old boys from a modified tee that fits the average 8-year-old boy driving distance. And so we developed that over the years of doing tournaments all over the world and modifying the tees so that our 8-year-old boys are play from a particular tee, because we know that they're going to hit it about 100 yards in the air with their driver, 125 yards with roll. So their 9-hole course would be about 1,800 yards. And so from that, then, they actually have the ability for our best players to shoot par or better. And because of those modified tees, golfers like Jordan Spieth have said that because I played U.S. kids golf tournaments when I was young, I was never afraid to beat par. I was never afraid to go low. If I got 2 under, I wanted to go 3 under, and so on. And so I think the way that we do it in Kenya is like the way that we used to do it in the United States. The kids play from the ladies' tees. It's far too long, and a par 4 hole looks like a driver 3-wood pitching wedge if I'm good. So that's a par 5. So that golfer never really gets to get good at their mid-irons like our favorite golfers, Jordan Spieth or Brooks Koepka or Justin Thomas or Lexi Thompson. We don't get to play the same game. It's a different game. And so by scaling it that way, it's good for the juniors. But it's also good for the adults, because we have at our Longleaf Golf Club in North Carolina, we have a large community of elderly folks that are there retired. We have a large community of adults that are between the ages of 30 and 45, and then we have a lot of young adults and kids there. And so the way that we do our tees is not based off age or gender or handicap. It's strictly based on how far do you hit your driver. And if you hit your driver 250 yards in the air, play T7. And if you hit your driver 100 yards in the air, play T1. And for every 25 yards in between, we have those tees. So at 125 yards, you'd play T2 and so on. And what it does is then, if let's say you hit it a long ways and I don't hit it very far, but we play together. So you might play T8 and I might play T5. But if we both hit our average tee shots on a par 4, we'll hit the same iron into the green from different spots. So if it's a driver 8-iron for you, it's a driver 8-iron for me. That's kind of a fair fight at that point, right?
It gives everybody a chance to make par.
Right.
Or even buddies, which is very important, especially at a young age. Mentally and psychologically, it empowers the kids and know they can shoot under par.
Right.
So as they grow stronger, as they grow bigger and they hit further, they move further back in the course, and they can still shoot the scores. So by the time they're playing the back tees, playing under par is not.
They're used to it.
They're used to it. It's something normal to them.
And so I think as this goes on, the evolution will be that as you're a youngster, you start at the right start tee, which is in front of the number 1 tee. You'll work your way to 1 and 2 and 3 and finally get to tee 8. And then as we get a little older, we get to move back forward. And so we'll end up right where we started, but we'll still be enjoying golf.
Exactly. Jim, I can't thank you enough.
My pleasure.
It was a pleasure being in your class this week. I look forward to being one of the major ambassadors for US golf kids in Kenya.
We're counting on you. We're going to change the face of golf here. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's it, folks. So there are 42 coaches trained this week. In a week or two, you'll be able to go to US Kids Golf website and figure out which coaches have been certified by US Kids who can teach your kids through this program. It's a game-changing program, believe me. So keep watching, and we'll have more about US Kids as we grow. Thank you very much, Jim.
Thank you, Shem.
Pleasure.
Outstanding.